Good night, everyone. Boa noite para meus amigos no Brasil. If you don't speak English, just allow me a few minutes to talk to my Brazilian friends in Brazil and Portugal right now. Meus amigos brasileiros e portugueses, obrigado mais uma vez pela presença na Zoom Clínica. Hoje nós temos mais uma pessoa que tem muita importância na minha carreira como técnico de basquete, que é o Don Showalter. O Don Showalter, além de diretor de desenvolvimento na USA Basquetebol, ele também foi técnico dos Estados Unidos, principalmente nas categorias de base durante muito tempo, 10 vezes medalha de ouro com as equipes americanas. E o Don, ele também tem um camp muito importante, muito reconhecido nos Estados Unidos, chamado Snow Valley Basketball School. E eu estou usando a camisa hoje em homenagem a ele. Eu vou liberar o microfone do Don já. Eu só tenho que fazer alguns anúncios para vocês. Nessa semana, a gente ainda tem o Lula Ferreira, na sexta-feira. Quem não conhece o Lula Ferreira, hoje ele trabalha como supervisor de operações de esporte no SESI, mas foi 2 vezes campeão brasileiro, um do Campeonato Brasileiro CBB e uma vez do NBB, 5 vezes seguido campeão paulista, foi técnico da seleção principal, bicampeão pan-americano, bicampeão sul-americano e campeão da Copa América. Por favor, não esqueçam de enviar o link, divulgar o nosso canal do YouTube, mande para os seus amigos no Facebook, no YouTube, no Facebook, no WhatsApp, e não se esqueçam de se inscrever também no canal. Vou colocar a minha cara feia para vocês um pouquinho e vou chamar o Dom para falar com vocês. Dom, você está aí? Dom, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to start your video. Let me try again. Oh yeah, there you are.
There I am.
Good night, Coach.
Hi, Leo. Hope you're doing well, and we have a good number of listeners on. So I'm very humbled to be on your video clinic tonight. I know we have coaches from all over the world. Probably some good friends that I've met throughout the years in South America and the United States, obviously, as well too. So looking forward to it.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. The Zoom Clinic, how we call in Portuguese, Zoom Clínica, it was one initiative, one idea of my friend Marcos Egino. He's one of the attendees today. He doesn't speak English, so he just asked me to talk about the channel with you and say hello, send his regards. I would tell people how I know you for a few minutes, and then I want you to talk about your story a little bit before we start the presentation tonight. Guys, sure. Don Showalter, I told you about his resume and his accomplishments, but we've met in the coaches convention that we have with the Coaches Association in the United States, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to work his camp at Snow Valley. That's the shirt that I'm wearing today to help coach to promote that beautiful project, the beautiful work they have. I was fortunate enough to be amongst 50 plus coaches on June last year in one of the sessions, and we had around 200 kids or more on that session, and I know that one of the sessions had almost 500. Is that true, Coach?
Yeah, you must have worked there first session?
First session, yes.
Yeah, because that's mostly our younger kids. We have anywhere from 250 to 500 in our sessions. So I appreciate you wearing that Snow Valley basketball shirt.
Well, and for those who don't know, Don Showalter, he's also traveled with FIBA for coaches training and some athletes camps around the world. He was in Brazil a few years ago. I know that some of you have met him and you have the chance to ask questions later. Coach, I'll allow you some time to introduce yourself before we start and talk about some stories.
All right, sounds good, Leo. Thank you. I may call on you if I need some help with the IT stuff. I'm not very accomplished with a lot of this tech stuff, but appreciate you being on. I know you had a good friend of mine, Al Lambert, on last week, if I remember right, and a good friend has done some work with USA Basketball as well. So I appreciate and very humbled by the fact that we have a good number of coaches on here. And I did speak in Brazil a couple of years ago. I was down for their national camp. For the South American national camp for that FIBA ran in Brazil a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago. So that was really fun. I really enjoy Brazil, Argentina. Really good basketball is played there. Coaches are do a great job. Very willing to learn, and that's what we all are. We're all in this. We all want to learn about the game of basketball, and no matter how many seasons we've coached or how long we've coached, we're always trying to learn the game. So, as you said, I'm just going to a little bit about myself and my pathway in coaching. I graduated from a small college. I did not play major college basketball. I played small college basketball, but had a great time. Played for a Hall of Fame coach, actually at Wartburg College, where our Snow Valley camp was at. Played there, and then right after college, I took a head job at a small high school, which probably was not maybe the smartest thing to do. Not having much time to learn from anybody except other coaches I played for, but I was thrown right into the mix. That was high school was small, but it was very good basketball, but they had very little tradition there. So trying to work that around. We actually had some good success there for 2 years. Went to another high school for 8 years in Iowa. It was a very good basketball high school. Probably was the best thing for me for my career. Then after 8 years there, I went back to the high school I graduated from, and I always said that was probably not a good idea to go back to your alma mater. Too many people know you. Too many people remember what you did when you were in high school. But it worked out great for my family and I. Our kids were around our grandparents and cousins and uncles, and so our kids grew up really having a great experience back at our hometown. So after thinking I was only going to be there 3 or 4 years, I actually stayed at high school Mid Prairie for 28 years until my kids were all gone, and then I actually retired from the teaching part to as athletic director, and then I took a job in Iowa City here at Iowa City High School, which was really a good move as well. Very diverse school, very different than the schools I've been at, and we really got that program going. I thought really well in 4 years. So that's kind of my pathway. I taught 42 years of high school basketball here in the States. And as most everybody knows, high school basketball is certainly different in the States than it is anywhere else in the world. We're not so much, club basketball doesn't guide us quite as much during the high school years as it does in international competition. I started with USA Basketball back in 1998. I coached the Hoop Summit. Some of you remember a guy by the name of Dirk Nowitzki, who played with Dallas Mavericks. He was a 19-year-old on that team. At that time, nobody really knew who he was, and that was his coming out party. He had a great game against us, unfortunately, and did a great job for the international team. And then I coached the McDonald's All-American game, which was held here in Iowa the following year. That's an all-star game made up of the best 24 players in our country. Coached in the Jordan Classic as well, several years, which is another really high-level all-star game. And then FIBA started the U16 and U17 programs in 2009. Previously, many of you know, FIBA had I think it was U21 and U22 levels. They dropped those in 2008, started the younger program. And that was that was really something that was a drastic change for USA Basketball, because before that time, we had always been involved with senior men's team in the NBA, Olympics, the World Cup, World Championships, those things. So we had never been really exploring the younger levels. And so that was our first guidance into organizing the young levels at U16, U17. And they asked me to coach those levels. And at the same time, Coach K from Duke had coached the 2008 Olympics. And 2004, we were not very good. We got a bronze medal, I think, in Greece that year. And so it was kind of a whole changeover for USA basketball. And we put a lot of time and effort into our young players because we knew that was really the future of what our senior team was going to be. And now guys like Jason Tatum are in the NBA, Justice Winslow, Brad Beal, Andre Drummond, those guys are all in the NBA and making really great strides. So we feel real good about that. So I actually coached those teams for 10 years. And then in 2016, actually 2 years before I stopped coaching those teams, I started full time with USA Basketball. And now I'm in charge of the coach development and also in charge of overseeing our young players, U16, U17, scouting them out, putting the teams together and coaches together for those two teams.
Wow, it's quite a resume. I think everybody agrees with me. And also, when you're talking about some of these players, one young player that was one of my favorites came to mind. Have you coached Jason Tatum? I don't remember if you mentioned him.
Yes, yeah. Jason Tatum was playing for Boston now, but he was one of my favorites to coach. He was really he didn't start for us for several times at our U17. We thought our team would be better if he came off the bench. Mm-hmm. And not that he wasn't good enough to start, because he certainly was, but he's the type of individual who said, Coach, he said, I'll do whatever it takes to win. And that's the kind of attitude he has. And yeah, I think everybody can see that now when he plays for the Boston Celtics. Collin Sexton was another player like that as well. Came off the bench for us, but Collin was an MVP for us during his time as well, but he was an MVP during the time he came off the bench. So that's quite an honor for him.
Okay, Coach, thank you for sharing all of this. I need to say this in front of my Brazilian friends and international friends. When I met you, of course, when we meet someone with your resume and with the importance that you have for the U.S. basketball community and the international basketball community, I was expecting someone with a different attitude. You are perhaps one of the most humble coaches that I know in basketball, and working with you on that camp at Snow Valley and seeing how you treat all the coaches, from the young coaches to the guys that have been working with you for over 20 years, was also a lesson to me. So thank you very much for that. And it's an honor for me to introduce you today to all our friends.
Well, thanks, Leo. I always say that, there's two kind of coaches that are involved in basketball. One group is coaches that are humble, and the second group is coaches that will be humbled, because basketball is a game that can humble the best of us.
I love that, and I'll take note.
Yeah, and so I feel real fortunate to be where I am. I mean, I thank my lucky stars every day that I have an opportunity to work with kids and coaches. So I never take for granted where I came from and coaching 42 years of high school basketball and where I am right now. It's just a great honor for me to still work with coaches and players.
Beautiful. Coach, when you're ready, we are all ready.
Okay. Let me see here.
To optimize for video when we talk.
Okay. So I'm going to, first of all, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a, can you see that, Leo?
Not yet.
Okay. Again, let's see here. Share screen.
Optimize for video, and then you click on share.
Okay, I'm not going to do the video right now.
Oh, okay. But but if you keep that optimized, you can play that anytime.
Okay, so if I do this.
I see now.
And this.
Yes. Can you put that full screen?
Yes. Okay. How's that look?
Let me check. We can read. We can read well. Yeah. So.
National team gold standards.
Yes.
Okay. let me just open up with this part, Leo, because I think this is really important for coaches to understand that with our USA basketball teams, and even with my high school teams, I think it's important for coaches to come up with standards that they feel are really important for your team. And Coach K really did a great job with this. And he kind of started the gold standards as we know it with his senior team. So he had a room full of, one of the first meetings that I had a chance to sit in on, he had a room full of the best NBA players getting ready for the Olympics in 2000, and this has been 2008. He had guys like LeBron James, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, James Harden, Jason Kidd, and they were all in a room and they were talking about what their standards would be. And the interesting thing is, coaches, is that they never mentioned rules. It was always about standards. And so I was talking to Coach K during the period that he was coaching, and we talked about standards versus rules. And he said he never used the word rules with his players, except for maybe like basketball rules on the court. But standards were something he felt that was a higher level than rules. Rules kind of had a negative connotation, like, you must be in bed by 9 o'clock, you must do this, you must do that. So it was more of a negative connotation, where standards are something that you try to live up to. And so you see the first one there says no excuses. And I was sitting in the room and LeBron James raised his hand. And he said, we have the best players in the world here sitting right around me, which I've always wanted to play with, Carmelo and Chris Paul and James Harden and all them. He said, we really have no excuses not to win. And Coach K said, all right, that's going to be our first gold standard, no excuses. And so I thought that was a pretty neat way to get to the first gold standard. I take it a little further with my high school team as well. No excuses means you don't blame officials if something doesn't go right. You don't blame your teammates if something doesn't go right. You don't blame your coaches if something doesn't go quite right. So no excuses can take a lot of different ways and a lot of different roads. And then I'll just go through what I have here pretty quickly, but great defense. One thing's with our USA basketball, we spend a lot of time on our defense. And I think that's a great pride for many of our players. We pick players. The 12 that we choose for our junior national team are 12 players who take great effort in playing defense. If a player doesn't really like to play defense, we probably won't take him, because we have enough good players that that's something that we really emphasize. And we press all the time, using our athletic ability with that. 3 is communication. Young players, 16, 17, have a hard time with communicating. But we try and put players in communication, tell them how to communicate, look each other in the eye, tell each other the truth. So we actually practice communication off the court. One of the things I would tell coaches that are listening, to communicate on the basketball court, I think is give the players some information how to communicate. So we always tell our players, you communicate early, loud, and often. So let's say you're guarding a pick and roll. You would communicate early that there's a screen coming. You would communicate it loudly so that everybody can hear it. And third, you would communicate, you could communicate often. Now, often would be 3 times. We say you communicate it 3 times. So if I'm guarding a guy setting a screen, I would say screen, screen, screen 3 times, and that would be my communication. So we're giving the players exactly how we want them to communicate on the floor. If we're playing the help side defense, we're going to go early, loud, and often. Help, 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 so everybody can hear us. So we think that has really helped the young players that we have communicate. Probably one of our best communicators was Collin Sexton, who communicated fantastically. Now he's playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Probably one of our least communicative players when they came in was Brad Beal. Of course, he's a great shooter and making much money now with the NBA, starting for the Wizards, and he was an all-star as well. So so we get them all. We get all different kinds, but communication is really key factor for us. Trust, collective responsibility, care. What kind of teammate are you? Are you one that cares? Respect. Jason Kidd came up with respect during the time that Coach K was visiting with him. He said, Jason says, if we're going to be here, we always need to be on time. And he said that shows respect for everybody. So Coach K said, all right, that's going to be one of our standards as well. Be respected, have a respect for each other. Intelligence, taking good shots, making good choices on the court, knowing the scouting report. Poise, really trying to show no weakness on the court. Flexibility.
Coach, can you elaborate a little bit on poise?
Yeah. Good question. Poise is showing while you're on the court, having a ability to play through some things that may not go your way, if you know what I mean. So you may your teammate may make a turnover and the other team scores. It's something that the poise in you would be just ready to come back the next time and maybe give your teammate another opportunity, or get back on defense after a mistake is made. That you make a mistake, don't make two mistakes. So that shows great poise.
Perfect. Thank you.
Flexibility. We don't complain about things. Unselfishness. This is a very, very big one for us that we emphasize a lot. And this one right here, our value is not measured in playing time. We have 12 players on our junior national team. Same on my high school team. Some of them, are on the team and may not play much. And if they think their value is only based on playing time, then I think they have the wrong idea. We had guys. A good example would be Justin Anderson, who played for Virginia, played in the league for Dallas, a couple other places. Was our 12th guy, and he made some good money in the NBA, and now he's playing the G League. So we really stress that. Aggressiveness, play hard every possession. That's something goes without saying. And of course, the biggest for us, the biggest motivator is the bench. If somebody's not playing as hard as we'd like, they can sit on the bench for a while and watch somebody else play hard, and that's a huge motivator. Enthusiasm. I think there's two things that we ask of players, and that's number 12 and 13. You have to have enthusiasm. Basketball is a fun game. You have to have enthusiasm for when you play. And then performance and pride. So those are the 15 standards. Now, for my high school team, I might only have 8 standards. All right. I also coach my grandson's 10-year-old team. We may have 3 standards. So this can vary, but we don't just give these standards just one time and expect. Can you still see me, Leo?
Yes.
Okay. We don't give these standards out like at the beginning of the year and never go back to them. We refer to these standards throughout the whole year, throughout all our competition, because we want our players to understand that really individual standards are what you try to live up to on a daily basis.
And I think that goes with discipline as well. And one of the things that we discuss as coaches in Brazil is how much we can control the players with discipline, with standards and all that. And I remember one thing that I heard from you, I don't remember if it was in one of the clinics that I attended or it was through the USA basketball license process, but I remember you saying there's freedom of choice, but there's no freedom of consequence.
Right.
And I remember, for me, that's perfect. Can you talk about it? Who taught you that, and how did you come up with that?
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things I picked up from a clinic or a camp from somebody else, and I thought it was a great way to talk about choices, because players have a lot of choices. I mean, we tell our players this: you have a lot of choices. You have a choice to be an intelligent player. You have a choice to play hard. You have a choice to listen. You have a choice to communicate. So those choices are all up to you, but you really have no freedom of the consequences. So the consequences for not living up to standards might be bench time, or it might be withholding you from a game. So I think that having it go over the standards on a daily basis really helps. So at the beginning of our practices, we may have a quick team meeting. I may say, all right, our standard for the day is trust, which, by the way, I think is the most important one on there. So in our team meeting, I might call out Jason Tatum. I say, Jason, what's important? How is trust important to our team? And Jason would give an answer. So we're asking him to communicate, but also he would be thinking about how that standard is really something that is important for our team. And then the next day we might do something, a different standard, but we don't want the players to forget about what our standards are. And I just think that's a real important thing for us as we develop young players, but also young people. We want them to be unselfish. We want them, and no matter if it's on or off the court, we want them to be good people, both on and off the court. So
perfect.
That's been really good for us. Yep. I'm going to put up here. Let's see what we got here. All right. Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to go. People ask me a lot on what do I like in a player, or when I go watch players play, what really sticks out in my mind as far as what kind of player is good for us and our team. And I would like to think this is also like from a high school teams, although I don't, with our high schools, we don't have a choice of players. We have to just take whoever shows up for practices in our high school. So we can't go out and recruit and so on. But we call this our USA basketball player DNA. And DNA is kind of what you're made of. And so there are 5 things that we think are really important that make up our USA basketball players' DNA. First one is smart. They got to be really smart and play smart. Player makes the same mistake 2 or 3 times. That's not being a very smart player. He takes a shot that is really tough to make continually. That's not being a very smart player. Smart players help their teammates get better. That's being a smart player as well. Rotation on defense. So if I'm a smart player, I'm always anticipating what can happen. If my teammate gets beat, what's my rotation? Those are smart type of players. And we've had some really, really good players that we didn't take because they weren't extremely smart. So that's the first thing that we really look at when I'm evaluating players across the country. Second thing is tough. And tough is kind of it's a difficult to define, I think, but we all know what a tough player is. And I always thought when I went to scout teams like Argentina and Brazil, and especially those two teams, I thought they were really tough players. You know, they would get on the floor after loose ball. They would rebound, get balls out of their area. They would hustle to get 50-50 balls, try and take the charge. All those things were really, I thought, kind of what tough is. But I always thought that Brazil kids and Argentina kids, both of them were very, very tough kids, tough teams. Then the third thing is skilled. Obviously, they have to be skilled. And I'll cover the different skill areas here in a little bit, but excuse me. Skilled is are they skilled at more than one? Are they skilled in more than one area? You know, can they handle the basketball and also shoot it? So what's their skill level? Versatile, I think, is for us in our states is really important because probably the international game, you coaches that are not coaching in states have done a better job than the American coaches have. When you coach young players, they're very versatile, and we notice that on an international scale. You know, they really don't have a position, so to speak. And too many of our kids think they got to get locked into being a point guard or a wing or whatever. And I think that sometimes hurts our skill development somewhat. So versatile, and they got to be able to guard different spots too. You know, you can't just be able to guard a point guard. You need to be able to guard a wings, and sometimes you got to be able to switch off on a power forward. So versatile includes both offensively and defensively. And the last thing is being resilient. I always watch this because being resilient is what happens, what you do when things don't go well. Kind of like poise and resilient is very similar. You know, when things aren't going well, how resilient are you? Maybe you get knocked down, or maybe you go 2 or 3 times to get a rebound, but you don't get it, and then maybe the 4th time you get that rebound. That's very resilient. Not giving up after the first time, getting knocked down and getting right back up. So those are the 5 things that we really look at for players that we take on our USA basketball teams, and even on my high school team. I think those are 5 DNA attributes of players. I'll stop there if there are any questions on that.
We don't have questions so far, but I am reminding everybody that if they have questions and they want to ask you directly, I'm making a list for those questions.
Okay.
And if they don't want to ask, they want me to do it, they will just put it on the chat. So you can go ahead. That's
great, Leo. And if I'm going too fast or I should repeat something, be sure and let me know.
Okay.
In addition, we think these things require zero talent in a player. So we tell players that no matter how talented you are or how least talented you are, you can always do these things. Being on time, having a great work ethic, effort, showing good body language to your coaches, to your teammates. We find body language is something that we stress all the time. How are you when you're on the bench? How are you when you're taken out of the game? Do you roll your eyes when the coach talks to you? Do you sit and pout on the bench when you're taken out? Do you really enjoy when somebody else has success? And that's body language. Energy, attitude, passion, being coachable, doing extra, being prepared. Those are all things that players can do with zero talent. Now you put talent with those things, you really have an extra special type of player. And so that's really really what we emphasize a lot with our kids as well, because sometimes doing things with zero talent, players that do things with zero talent are really the most important players at times. So again, it's something we really emphasize with that. Let me pull this slide up here, Leo, and go through a few of these. Oh, same one. Forgive me here, we'll get it.
It's okay. We have time.
Everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go through some of these kind of quickly, but we're all about trying to create and sustain a culture, and that's hard because we only have our players for maybe 3 weeks before we travel to an international competition. So it really makes creating and sustaining a culture. But we do it with our standards, we do it with our DNA, we do it just with having great leaders on our team. Definition of a coach: if you would pull out our dictionary, a coach is a carriage pulled by horses. And I always think this is good. A carriage is like kind of like a wagon, or if you're not familiar what a carriage is, but it's kind of like a horse is pulling a wagon or a buggy type thing. And so,
Can I just translate that to some of them real quick?
Yeah, sure.
É como se fosse uma carroça, uma charrete, tá? É a palavra que eles usam para carroça ou charrete. Go ahead, coach.
And what we mean by this is that your players really carry you, but you have to train your players to pull that carriage, to pull you and everybody else. And you have to work together to pull that carriage. I think that's the important thing we get from this. Our curriculum is based on progressive player development. Curriculum is based on a progressive development model. And, we try and master some basketball skills, but it's not based on, age or grade or gender or physical attributes. So it's based on mastering the basketball skills. And as a young player, we think that's really important for our progressive model. You don't jump to progressive would be, you don't start out 2-ball dribbling around cones until you can learn how to just dribble the ball, bounce it once or twice, and catch it, as a 5 or 6 year old would do. So the progressive model is really important, we think, for skill development. We have 4 levels of skill development. And these are not cut and dried levels. There are there can be some introductory level with the foundational. I mean, teams can be more than one level. So the introductory level, again, real quickly here, is for the youngest player who maybe just be starting basketball. And in your countries, I think a lot of times it's called mini basket. Is that right, Leo? International.
Yes, mini basketball in Brazil, we call it mini basket.
Yep. Then we advance to foundational. This would be a little older age group, maybe ages 12, 13 would be a little bit higher level of skills. So maybe now you would advance that dribbling to behind the back, between the legs, might be a foundational level skill. And then advanced would be more high school level. So it'd be like my high school team, we might do a lot of 2-ball stuff. We might do a lot of cone dribbling, enhancing that. And then the highest level would be our performance level, which would be our college age kids, our national teams would all be on performance level. So these are the 4 levels that we really look at. And you can't start out at an advanced level with 5 and 6 year olds, because what happens is then they don't like the game. And if they don't like the game, they're not going to stay with it and get better. So we think that's really important. I think this is what we strongly recommend. There are 8 skills that coaches should work on with your players. I'll let those up there for a little bit, and you can see those. Again, hey, Leo, if anybody wants, I'll email this stuff out to anybody that wants it too.
Yeah, thank you for saying that, Coach, because one coach here, Coach Vitor Imbuzero, he coaches in the US. He asked me about it, and I told him that I would ask you afterwards. So thank you.
Yeah, and you have my email address, Leo, so you can just give it to anybody who wants it. So
thank you.
So the 8 skills that we think are really important that players know and can really should be skilled at would be, first one, footwork and balance. Very simply, this is like jump stops, pivoting, those kind of things in footwork. I will make a statement that Jay Wright from Villanova, if you go to his practices, he spends many, many minutes every day in practice with footwork, jump stopping. If you watch his teams play, they probably do the absolute best job with making jump stops, footwork. Footwork also has to go with shooting. Footwork goes with every skill, but footwork is something, and I'll show a video here after this of what we do with footwork. Ball handling skills are really important. If you're going to run a dribble drive offense, which is kind of popular in the States now, but you have players that can't use their left hand off the dribble, then that dribble drive offense isn't very good. So you have to be skilled enough to use your left hand and your right hand with that. And shooting, obviously, shooting is a skill that needs constant repetition. Screening, we think, is an important skill. We don't teach screening until our foundational level, which is our 12 and 13-year-olds. Screening, we don't teach in the introductory level. We don't want the young players 5, 6, 7 all running to the ball. Spacing is more important there. Passing, obviously. I will say this about passing. I have a little different philosophy on passing than most coaches do. Passing is a skill that many times isn't really technique based. I'll say it again. Passing is a skill that many times is not the same technique, because you have to make a lot of different kind of passes. Passing is more decision making than it is technique based. Introductory level, yeah, you teach them how to make chest passes and bounce passes. As they move up through the levels, passing is a decision making skill. 2-on-1, what kind of decision am I going to make? So for us, that's really important as well. Rebounding is a skill.
Coach.
Yes.
Before you go to rebounding, just one thought about passing, because I love what you said about passing being a decision-making skill, but I also give a lot of attention to the catching part of the passing, especially for kids. Yep. We know that perhaps most of turnovers in basketball, especially youth basketball, happen on passing and catching. So what is the importance of catching on that process for you?
Yeah, and that's a really good point, because we always say passing and catching go together, but we always tell young players, very simply, you catch the ball with your eyes. So if you don't catch the ball, you probably don't have your eyes on the ball. And that's really a simple term that we tell all our players, catch the ball with your eyes. Because now they can remember, I got to look the ball in. It's very simple directions how to catch the ball. So receiving the pass, you catch the ball with your eyes before you do anything else. That has seemed to help our teams really a lot in cutting down the turnovers between passing and receiving, or passing and catching.
Perfect. Thank you.
And rebounding, of course, is a skill. And then whole offense and whole defense. This is not all the time 5-on-5. I think whole offense is many times 3-on-3 work. 3-on-0, 3-on-3. That is whole offense. And if you're working with younger players in the introductory level, 3-on-3 or 3-on-0, 3-on-3, that is really the way to go. If I would have to do anything over again when I first started coaching in my 40-some years ago, I would play more 3-on-3 than I did. I ended up playing 3-on-3 a lot, probably at least 10 minutes every practice as probably the last 15, 20 years of coaching. But it's great for offense. It's great for defense. So 3-on-3, 4-on-4 are things that I think are too many times overlooked, and they don't get the attention they need. And this is really, it opens up the floor a lot and causes the, allows them to just learn the game on their own. 3-on-0 is a great game. 3-on-3 is a great game just to learn how to play. And I think I did not use that enough as a younger coach growing up. Okay, I'm going to, let me put a video on here. I have two videos. One is from one is from a clinic I was at. Let me see if I, nope, that's not that one. I think this might be it. Uh-oh.
USA basketball.
Okay, full screen, Coach.
Can you see that or not?
Yeah, I see it.
I'll blow it. I'll make it on the big screen here.
Okay.
Now keep it.
This is, I'm going to let this run for a little bit, but this is a video that demonstrates how we teach footwork to our players. And if you would come to our USA basketball practice, you would see us doing this drill on a daily basis. It's just a very simple drill, but I think it really epitomizes what is needed for footwork. Let me see here. Make sure I started.
They'll follow what your expectations are. So just be careful with those kind of things.
Can everybody see that, Leo?
Yes, we see it in here.
Pivot right foot, reverse pivot. So you're gonna dribble out right-handed, swing your right foot back. Same drill, go. Okay, very good. Awesome. Okay, a little travel, but we'll take care of that. Keep that foot down. Okay, stop. Now we're gonna now you're gonna dribble out left hand and you're gonna take a left foot front pivot. That means we're gonna bring the toe around front. You're gonna make a front pivot. Okay, whoa, just a minute. This is how I would conduct it in practice if we're just starting. I explain it. And by the way, explain it one time. Don't explain things more than once. Because what happens is your players will shut you out. They won't listen to you the first time because they know that, oh, he's just going to repeat it. So I don't really have to listen the first time. So get in the habit of just saying things once, and then you can demonstrate it, have somebody demonstrate it, and then you do the drill. The more often you explain it, the less they listen. That goes in your timeouts too. You know, they're not used to listening in practice the first time, so you call them over in a timeout. 3 of them listen the first time, 2 of them don't, you're screwed. Now all of a sudden you got 2 guys playing man, 3 guys playing zone. You're really screwed. So those kind of things, that's a direct result of your practice sessions. Okay? Show me what I just said. There we go. Okay, go. Now we go front pivot. So we did 2 reverse pivots. Now we're going to do 2 front pivots. Okay, stop. Now we're going right hand dribble, right foot, front pivot. Go. Good job. That's it. Stay low. Keep that ball in tight. Keep that ball in tight. Good. Okay, awesome. Good. Okay, stop. So learn to coach while the drill's going on. Learn to coach while the drill's going on. If you have to stop a drill every time you want to make a correction, that you're first of all, you lost your pace of your practice. Secondly, you really lost, probably 12 of your players when you correct, or 11 of your players when you correct one guy for what you want done. And then learn to change your drill as it's going. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out the hand dribble and the pivot you'll do as you're doing it. So you demonstrate. Let's start out left hand dribble, left foot reverse pivot. So we start out this way. Left foot reverse pivot. Yeah. Okay. Now keep going. I might say, all right, right hand, keep going, reverse pivot, right hand dribble, reverse pivot, right foot. Okay. Good. Good. Left hand dribble, front pivot. Okay, stop. So now what you're doing is you're making them listen. You're forcing them to do the correct drill while they're on the move. So without stopping the drill and changing it, you're doing it while the drill's going on. And again, this is exactly how we do things with, when I had the Jason Tatums of the world, Wendell Carter's, Collin Sexton's, this is how we started practice. Now, obviously, we're going to do it less time because we're refreshing some of this stuff with that. The term refresh is great. We're refreshing it with that group as opposed to my 9-year-olds where we may spend, 15 minutes with this. Okay, you got the drill? Go. Left hand, left foot reverse. Go. Left foot, other left foot, reverse. Left foot reverse. Think about it before you come out. There you go. Good. Stay a little bit lower. Let's get those legs bent. Good. Keep that ball in close to your body. Excellent. Right hand dribble, right foot reverse. See it? Left hand dribble, left foot front pivot. Left foot front pivot, left foot front pivot. That's it. Okay, stop. Now,
Okay, that gives you an idea of how we teach footwork, and like I said in the film, you don't really, you refresh players with skills. In other words, with my 10-year-old team, I might do that for 10 minutes in practice. With our junior national team, it might take 2 minutes. So one of my sayings is you never graduate from a skill. You don't ever get good enough that you graduate from a skill. Arguably one of the best shooters in the NBA is Steph Curry. Well, do you think Steph Curry thinks he's good enough that he never has to continue to practice his shooting? Of course not. He stays after practice, makes 300, 400, 500 shots after practice. So he doesn't, he's never graduated from that skill. That's the same with all the skills. You never get good enough. You think, I'm good enough. I don't ever have to go back and practice this. I think that's one of the things as a coach that I probably did much better the longer I coached, is I continued to really emphasize the fundamental skills throughout the whole season. So with my high school team always got really much better around tournament time. By the time our state tournament came around, I thought they were always really probably the best because every day we would spend time on fundamental skills. Now, we may not have time every day to do all 8 skills. So I said, if we have, let's say we only have time for 3 skills, I would do footwork, and you can combine that with shooting, and you can combine that with a lot of other things. But I would do footwork, shooting, and passing. Those are 3 non-negotiable skills that I would personally do every day in practice. And again, you can combine those with many things: shooting and passing, rebounding and footwork. But I would emphasize those 3 skills because I think those are ones that really set players apart, teams apart as well. Okay, how are we doing on time? We're about.
We have time.
I have time. I'm going to show Leo. I'd like to show cutthroat.
Yep, sure.
That makes. And I'm going to do what I want to do is I want to show this.
Let me do one thing. I will stop your screen sharing. Yeah, now we can see you full screen.
So as this is how it's set up. Like there's 3 teams, and you have 4 on a team, and this is probably the absolute best competitive 4-on-4 drill that we do, and our players on our junior national team love to do it. Kids younger love to do it. So we have just set up like this. We have a team on the baseline ready to come in. We have a team on the offense and a team on defense. Now, if a team doesn't do one of the 3 rules, they're off the floor, a new team comes in, and the defense goes to offense. So if they keep scoring, they stay on offense, and the new team comes in on defense. So the new team out of bounds always comes in on the defensive end. So I'm going to show you a little bit how it's played. The 3 main rules are for the offense that we start out with are you catch it and you have to square up, triple threat position.
Okay.
And if you can get kids to do that, you've already done a pretty good job of coaching, because most kids do not. They want to put the ball on the floor right away, catch and just dribble it. We have that problem at every level. They over dribble the basketball. So we say you have to catch, square up first, look at the basket. Second rule is once you make a pass, you must move. You can cut to the basket, you can set a ball screen, you can set a screen away, but you can't just stand. We have too many of our young kids are just ball watchers. They'll pass and then they'll watch somebody else go one-on-one. And I think that's a real danger in making the game too individualized. Unfortunately, they'll watch the NBA, James Harden and those guys. Well, that's a different level. You're not at that level yet, we tell our players. And then the third rule is once you make a pass, if you catch a ball from a player and make a basket, score a basket, you got to turn, point, and thank the passer. And that develops teamwork. It develops camaraderie as well. So those are the 3 main rules. If you don't do one of those rules, you're thrown off the court. New team comes in on defense. The defense goes to offense. And then we keep score with that. So
are you showing the video?
Yes.
Okay. While you are setting that up, let me just tell a story to our friends here.
Okay.
I worked with you at Snow Valley, like I said to everybody before. And I remember that these were the rules also for the games that the kids would have at the end of the day. So we would have the kids divided in different teams, and then they had to follow these rules. And the coaches were referees. And many times we would see, especially in the first day, kids would score and not thank the passer, and that basket would not count. And that would make a big difference in the games for them. So at the end, in some teams, I could see that even when someone made an individual play, driving to the basket or something like that, they would just point to everybody and thank, because they didn't want everybody to. Yeah. They wanted to score. So it's a fun thing to say, but it's also one thing that I have experienced when I came back to India, and I started doing that to the kids, and that was amazing. So it was a great thing that I learned in Iowa with you, Coach. One of the great things.
This is This is our USA basketball training camp.
Okay.
And let me check here. I want to play. And we're just starting. This is just the start of. We just divided up and we're playing cutthroat. So I'll let it play a little bit here, and just so you can see the level, the intensity level, and how it's played.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you share
Same
the
three rules we had yesterday. Same
Coach,
three rules.
Coach,
Yeah.
your screen is not shared.
Squaring. You can't just put the ball on the floor.
Leo, can you see it?
No, you need to just start sharing the screen again, because when you
I'm
shoot,
sorry.
yeah, and optimize for video.
Okay. Video's optimized. Okay. See if this happens. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Okay, we see it now.
Can you see it now?
Yeah,
Okay. I'll
just click on full screen on the
Yeah.
video on that square.
how's that, Leo?
Yeah, full screen now.
Okay. All right. I'll start this again here.
Floor. Move after you pass. Basket cut.
Okay, I'm explaining the rules here first.
This is basketball. So I'll turn it over to Don and he'll get you going with cutthroat. Thanks.
Okay. Same three rules we had yesterday. Same three rules. Catch and square. Coaches, be really picky about catching and squaring. You can't just put the ball on the floor. Move after you pass. Basket cut, screen away, ball screen. Those three things. Third thing, thank the passer loudly. Coach, if you don't hear it, it don't count. All right? Not just a point. You got to vocal and communicate it. Okay? Here we go. We got Coach out front. Corey, you're out front. Here we go. We're keeping score of the teams. Yeah, let's go. Outlet it. Too late. Too late.
You notice right there that he made a shot, but he didn't thank the passer. So it was counted as no good. This is the first time that they've done this, so they're not quite the level we want yet, but they're learning. Okay, again, Leo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Again, he made a shot. Person in the green made a shot over here. Didn't thank the passer, so the basket didn't count.
I can see the frustration.
Yeah.
Catch and square. Catch and square. Move. Move. Outlet.
72 right here is Collin Sexton.
Sprint out. See it? Good pass. Be strong with the ball. Hey, we're keeping score, right? Okay. Outlet, sprint out. Good screen. Yellow ball, yellow keeps it. Here we go, yellow keeps it. There we go, move. Rebound it. Jump, Micah. There we go, good. Be sure you say it louder next time.
Okay, it gives you an idea of how we play that, and that was just the first time. Like I said, that was the first time that we actually had played that game. So they were just getting onto it, but great, very competitive game. We add rules to it as well. So we may add a no dribble rule if players. Want to dribble the ball all the time, we add a no dribble rule to it. Or we'll add a rule where the ball has to be touched by every offensive player before you can shoot it. So all 4 players have to touch the basketball. We may start with a side ball screen. So pass is made to a player at the wing. We have a side ball screen, pick and roll, and then we play out of that. So really, you can make up your own rules and get a lot out of that 4-on-4 cutthroat drill. So
That's beautiful. And we have a couple of questions here, but before I start the questions, I remember that one of the things that I saw you doing with the coaches at Snow Valley was introducing some 3-on-3 drills, because you also responsible for some 3-on-3 development for the U.S. teams, for the FIBA 3-on-3 championships. And I saw you doing something similar to the cutthroat, but not quite a cutthroat.
Right.
No, and I remember that the most important thing on that drill was the rotation and how they had to react quickly.
Yep.
So you want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because 3-on-3 obviously now is going to be an Olympic event next year in 21, and we spent a lot of time. Like I said, the last 15, 20 years of coaching, I probably did a much better job of playing 3-on-3 with our kids. But it's really a fast-paced game, where very similar to cutthroat, except if you score, when you score, the ball's taken from the charge circle and thrown in from there. So the offense gets it, throws it in from the charge circle, has to clear it behind the 3-point line, and then you attack the basket again. So it's really, if you are slow on defense, you're probably never going to get the ball on defense, because you have to react really quickly. So that's just one of them. The other thing with the 3-on-3 is, obviously, all our drills, or most of our drills, as long as you score, you get to keep the basketball. And I think that's important as well, because the defense really has to work to get the ball in order for them to get on defense, to get on offense. So a lot of times when we're playing 5-on-5 full court, we also have the team that scores gets to keep it. So if you don't play defense, you don't get a chance to get the basketball. And that's kind of the point with the 3-on-3 as well.
I like that. I like that because we are always trying to find ways to encourage them to defend.
Yeah.
If they're playing 5-on-5, many times they get lazy because they want to go to the offensive court on the other side.
Right.
So I like that, especially if you're doing with scores and you're keeping the time. So you make that competitive and you make that very important. If you let them score, they'll keep scoring again and again.
Right. Yep. And we just have the offense always keeps it. And that, that emphasizes without really saying you emphasize it, but that really emphasizes, all right, who can play defense, who really has the toughness to get a stop when they need it. If they don't get a stop, they're never going to get the ball on offense. So makes a huge difference.
Yep, that's great. Before we start the questions, the first person to make a question for you will be the national team coach for the women's team. But he told me that he needs a few more minutes. He had to go do something. So I will bring someone that to talk to you. Agra, tá por aí?
Tô. Coach?
Yes.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I don't know if you remember me.
Absolutely.
I was your interpreter in Campinas in 2018.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
FIBA Yacht Club. So I just want to say hi.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a testimony to all the other coaches that are here in the clinic that I saw up close in 4 days, the elite at that time of our country, from 15 to 17-year-old kids come in the first day. And I saw you explain to them what you expected and these rules that you talked about and the drills, and how in the first day, of course, they were a little insecure about it. And then I think they had time to 2 practices a day, one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
Yep.
They had time to go to bed and think about it. And the next 3 days, they had a lot of fun working with you. Remember that?
Yeah.
And they worked hard. And this thing about, well, I'm going to tell you one time, if you don't pay attention and listen, and I thought to myself, this is not going to happen. As I was interpreting for you for the kids, I said, this is not going to happen with these kids. They're not used to it. So what I want to say to the coaches here, they do work the rules and the way you do things on the court, and was very productive to me as a former player. And I'm not a coach, but it was very productive to me to see how the kids reacted. So I think all the coaches that are here, independent on the age group that they are working, I think the things that you did here really, really impressed everybody, the kids and the other coaches that were helping us, and even Petrovic, the Brazilian national coach that followed your practices with us. He gave one part of the day, you gave the other.
Yep.
And this is one thing. So coaches, these things really work, really work.
Hey,
Plus, I just want to say, agree with Leo. I had a great time in these 4 days with you. And if the coaches ask me, well, Edu, what is the best quality that you think the coach has? I'm not talking about technical abilities, but as a person, you were very humble and gentle for all the things that you have done in this 42 years of basketball. So I think we are very blessed to have you give a clinic to a lot of top coaches here in Brazil, as we are seeing now. And it's very nice to see you. You look great. Hey,
appreciate you. That was a great time. We had a great time, and a lot of that was because you helped us out a lot. We needed a lot of translation at times, and so that was good. It was great getting to know you, and I recognized you right away when I saw your face.
Yes, and Danilo, the other coach that was there with me also.
Yep.
Among other coaches, but I talked to him today, and he said, "Well, Edu, I'm not going to be able to watch, but please say hi to the coach for me, please. He really liked you also. We all stayed in the same hotels. Great time, great dinners, great talking.
Yeah,
it was wonderful.
Tell him
I hope you come back.
Yeah, I'd love to. Tell him hi from me too, will you please?
I will, Coach.
Great to see you.
Great to see you too. Take care. Bye-bye.
Agra, thank you very much.
Obrigado, Leo.
Thank you for your presence again. Coach Show, I don't know if you know that, but Agra is one of the TV commentators in Brazil for ESPN.
Oh,
and
really?
Danilo, yes, and Danilo, the other guy, Danilo is working with another network. What is that, Agra?
Bandeirantes. He's also, but Danilo
yeah.
is also coach. He has a basketball academy for kids, and he also is a personal coach for some of top professional. He's a real coach. I'm just a curious guy. I'm very thankful to you and to Marquinhos to allowed me to watch all these great clinics with great coaches that you guys are providing to all the coaches here. Thank you.
That was
Awesome.
our pleasure. Thanks.
Awesome. Coach, I will bring one friend of mine from India. His name is Israel Fernando, and he's one of the coaches that I would love you to meet one day. Israel, are you there?
Yes, I am, Coach.
Yeah,
Hi, Israel.
Hi, Coach. I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this. What Coach Leo is also doing here.
Israel,
Can you?
I lost you for 5 seconds. Can you repeat that?
I'm so sorry. Yeah, so I just wanted to thank Coach Leo and Coach Don as well for making us a part of this. There's a lot of knowledge that you share today, and I just had one question, and this was about the 4 levels of skill development. And the second level you spoke about was the foundational level.
Yep.
The question was, at the foundational level, how do you suggest to plan the sessions? Should the sessions be more fun-based, where the kids can enjoy the session at the same time, learn something? Or should it be more concentrated on the skills, where it's considered as more like a specialization, where kids will pick up basketball as a profession in future?
That's a great question. I could spend a lot of time on the 4 levels, but by the time they reach the foundational level, ages 12, 13, I think that's the time where they're searching for a little bit more than just recreation basketball. So most of the kids at that age are into skill development. They want to have fun, obviously, because that's why they're still there. They enjoy the game, but they're really into developing their game at a little higher level than the introductory. Introductory is just, hey, let's have fun. Let's go. Let's figure out what this basketball game's about. And now they figured it out at the foundational level. So I would say a good half the practice should be spent in developing those skills, and then playing some competitive games with those, because at that level, such as 3-on-3 would be a great game to play at the foundational level. Or when you do your ball handling drills, all right, you're taking the ball around your legs, between the legs. All right, how many times can you do that in 10 seconds? So now you're putting some competition into that at the foundational level. So I think that's really a key level for players, because most of them at that are searching for, all right, now I really love the game. Now I want to get better at it. So they want. Yep.
Thank you, Israel. It's good to see your handsome face again. Send my regards to your wife and your kid.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm calling now our national team coach, José Neto, and I had the privilege of working with him a few years ago in Brazil. Neto, tá por aí?
Tô aqui. Hi, Coach.
Hi, how are
Can
you?
see me?
Nice to meet you.
Fine, and you? Nice to meet you. So I'm thankful for you come with us, enjoy with us. Your knowledge is very important for us, for coaches here in Brazil. So I have a question for you. In your opinion, do you believe that it's possible to build a methodology to apply to young national teams, even if these players spend a short time together? I ask because you have a successful experience in national teams, and we are trying to build this methodology here to apply in national teams for young teams.
Yep.
So I want to to know if in your opinion, if it's possible to build this methodology and apply it in young national teams.
You know, I think it definitely is, but it's more difficult because I'm not sure how much time you have with your national teams, but we have a limited time with our national team. So we really emphasize character, the standards, those kind of things when they're coming in, because without those, we're not going to be very successful. So we have to have, and obviously we may have an advantage in the number of kids that we have across our country and how many good players we have. So if a player doesn't meet up to our standards, expectations, we can take somebody different. But players so that's why we emphasize the standards so often every day, is that we want that buy-in from them. If you understand what I mean, they have to buy in.
Yeah.
You're playing at this high level. You have to buy into our defense. You have to buy into our offense, and
yes.
We have to have that. So that's a maturing process. So over 3 or 4 weeks that we have them, we constantly emphasize that every practice. I think for us, that's what it takes.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. Thank you very much for your time, you share with us your knowledge. It's very important for us. Thank you very much.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank you, Coach.
You have a big job in Brazil too.
Thank you, Coach.
Neto, obrigado mais uma vez pela participação. Um grande abraço para você.
Valeu, Léo.
Valeu. Eu vou trazer o Vitor. Coach, I'll bring Vitor Imbuzeiro. He is a Brazilian coach working in the United States right now.
Okay.
Vitor, I just don't remember where you are.
Hi, Coach.
Hi, Vitor.
Hi, I work in Michigan for junior college, and I also have like a basketball academy for youth.
Awesome.
So, and I see
Vitor, just 1 minute before you start. The first time that I went to a practice in the school that I was studying, this guy was a coach. So we're talking about 1998. I was attending a class. I think it was a math class or something like that. So when Vitor came in the class with a shirt that was like a dinosaur dunking a ball. I think that was a group that he had with his friends or something like that. And I thought it was awesome. And then he started talking about this team tryouts, and I went to the team tryout. I still remember my first few practices with this great coach, but very loud coach on that time. And I didn't make the team that year, but I played the next year. Next year, he was not with us anymore. He was in Japan. So his experience now is in Japan, Italy, and the United States. I'm saying this because I know that he wouldn't tell all these stories, but he's one of the great coaches that we have in Brazil.
Well, good.
Thank you, Leo. So I sent to you a group of Italians in 2013 for the camp in Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And then they love it. Gianni Astro was the boss of that group. He said, like, we need to go back. Unfortunately, it's hard from Italy to go to the West Coast.
Sure.
So as I say, from the junior college all the way to the 5th grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, do you have any special rebounding exercise that you think will give a good foundation for rebounding?
Rebounding is probably more of an attitude than it is skill work. But we, from little on up, even with our introductory level, we just teach step and chuck. What I mean by chuck is get that forearm up, step, chuck, turn, and get as our cadence. So we step, shot goes up, we step, chuck if you're coming, but if you're not coming, then we just turn and get.
Okay.
So that's been a really easy cadence for us from the defensive standpoint. Then from the offense, we always send 3 players we call crashers. So we shoot the basketball. We have 3 crashers that always crash the boards. And their rule is they have to get into the paint, into the lane area when that shot gets off the rebound. So they're crashing the boards. There are 3 chasers. Then we have one, what we call junk guy, Junk, junk, who gets the long rebounds, and then one back guy. But that's really helped us on offensive rebounds too. So they know we watch the film, and if they're if they're a guy who's supposed to go to the glass and they're 15 feet outside the lane, that's not their job. Because most rebounders get caught in that middle area. They're not rebounding, but they're not getting back, on offensive rebounds. So if they're not in that lane area, that's one of our rules. So step, chuck, turn, and get is our defensive cadence, and then we have 3 crashers that we designate as crashers for the offensive rebounds.
So just a follow up on that question then, when you designated 3 crashers, you designated the person or the player by the proximity of the hoop?
3 players. So if that player is out of 3-point line, doesn't matter. If he's a crasher, he better get to the paint area when that ball.
So how about this? I'm not one of the crashers, right?
Yep.
I am not that guy, and I drive, I beat my guy, and I finish at the rim.
Yep.
So if I'm sending those 3 crashers, now I don't have either the junk or the safety, because it should be me. How can I adjust that?
Well, we just say if you're a back guy, you get back. So the junk guy and the back guy are the 2 guys that the junk guy goes to the top of the key on the offensive end. The back guy goes to the top of the key on the defensive end. So those 2 guys can be adjusted, but the 3 crashers are the 3 crashers. Yeah. Because what happens is then they start to say, well, I thought he was going to the rim. Then they come all the excuses. And then I come out and say, what's our first standard? No excuses.
Got it.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Coach.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, good luck to you. What part of Michigan?
I'm about 20 minutes outside of Detroit, between Detroit and Ann Arbor.
Okay. I get to Michigan quite often. They have great high school basketball in Michigan. One of the best players in the country is in
Emily Bates.
Yeah.
Delaney.
Yeah. He's
amazing player to watch.
For a young player, he's amazing.
And I can tell you, he's not coming to my junior college.
He's not going to any college. I can tell you that. He is not going to any college.
Okay, Victor, thank you very much. God bless you. See you soon. Next question. Another Brazilian, also coaching in the United States, Coach Vando Becelli. Vandinho.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Coach. First of all, congratulations for your success, and thank you so much to spend time with us and show your knowledge. I've been your fan.
Allow me some introduction as well. Vandinho was one of our speakers the other day, and usually we do these clinics on Tuesdays and Fridays, but because we wanted him so much to be one of the speakers, we had to create a different day, an alternative day. So it was the only edition of our clinic that happened on a Sunday night, and we had like 80 plus coaches watching participating on Zoom. Vandinho is amazing.
Great.
Oh, thank you, Leo. Coach, I've been your fan for a long time, and I've been watching all you do, with the championship productions. And I use a lot of your philosophy. My question for you, when that cutthroat, do you at the beginning or where do you limit the players on dribble, or you let them play free? And the second thing is I used to say if you don't post up or ball screen, it's I used to say it's a pure basketball. And then you can see how the kid if he's really good off the ball, if he can create on the opposite side off the ball. Do you work in something like that, or how you do?
That's a great question. And the nice thing about cutthroat is you can really change the rules to what fits your team. So for us, like with one of our teams, if I don't want Collin Sexton to dribble it, I will just put a rule on Collin. Collin, you can't dribble; it's a turnover, type thing. Or we'll just tell everybody you got one dribble. Now everybody's got one dribble. And I think you hit a common problem that I think a lot of our players have, is that they over dribble the basketball and don't go anywhere with it. So if you dribble the basketball and just stand and dribble, you're not helping your team and you're being selfish. So we really emphasize the fact that if you're going to dribble the ball, you better be going either to increase your passing angle, making a better pass, or going to the basket. If you're just standing out dribbling, that's going to be called a turnover. So, and the nice thing with the 4-on-4 cutthroat, for instance, when we start that cutthroat, especially with some of our younger players, or we just started, we will say you cannot run any pick and rolls, no ball screens, no screen away. It's all basket cuts. And so now they're getting used to movement, filling, spacing, those kind of things. We really do that a lot with our 13, 14-year-olds. But then as the kids get older, we still do it with our junior national team to start with as well. So they get used to cutting, filling, those kind of things, spacing. If you can get spacing is really an offense. If you can get spacing, then you can take a dribble or two, kick, and all those things open up. So just to get them to understand that. So we'll take away the pick and roll for a while until we think that they're doing a good job of that. But also if we have a post player, or our post player, a lot of times they never touch the basketball, because it's the guards you're taking. So we'll say, all right, your post player on your team has to touch the basketball before you shoot the ball. So now they'll get into the post, they'll make cuts, they'll make cuts to the basket. He can work on his passing as well. So those are just some of the rules, and we change rules a lot with that, and it really kids love it, and we can emphasize what we want to get done with those rule changes.
And my last one is like do you know when you for example, you're an offense, I'm a defense, right? And then for you scoring a lot of points on offense, and for some reason I'm gonna say, I need to do something, and then the defense team started to foul you a lot. And then I one day I got mad about that, and I said, okay, so if you foul, you go out, but and then to put a pressure on offense, they have to hit at least one free throw. Do you think that it's good or bad, or do you have any other? Because sometimes they will want to cheat, and I say, well, I'm gonna foul these guys.
Yep. I love that. I love it, because what'll happen is, and a lot of times, we start out the season, we want it to be more aggressive, so we don't probably call as many fouls, but it gets you gets down to where you got to really prepare for games. Fouling is really like a turnover. So if a player fouls, just like you said, we will kick their team off. New team comes in, and so that they're getting the idea that fouling is something that hurts your team. And then I love the idea of making the free throw, and we really haven't done that, but I think it puts pressure on the free throw shooter then too. So you're saying if the free throw shooter makes it, the defense is off. If the free throw shooter misses it, what happens?
And then if he misses, he's gonna because the other team is out anyway, right? If he misses the free throw, he's gonna go to a defense. All right. And the new team comes on offense.
I love that with the free throw. I want to put that.
Well, thank you so much, Coach. Appreciate it.
Good.
Coach, it's good. It's good to have some mean Brazilians teaching some things to American players. Right?
Absolutely. Hey,
no,
no, Coach. I love to learn new things. I mean, that's just how we all are. We're lifelong learners. That's great.
So I have one more person here, Marcelo Arruda. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Good night.
Hi,
good evening.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Coach. Nice to meet you. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thank you for sharing us about the knowledge. My resume is quite a little bit smaller than the people talked to before, but I'm targeting him. I'm targeting them. And I heard in your speech that you still coach little kids. Is that right?
Yep.
So my question is about that. How much the scholar sports is important to develop a full player, a complete player.
How much? Say that again. How much? What?
How much the scholar sports?
How much? How much are the other sports?
The
The
scholar.
school sports. He's
Oh,
talking
school,
about
okay.
high school. Yeah, high school level. How much is that important to develop players? Is that Marcelo?
Yeah, is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, for young kids, really, it's not the school part of it for us is not that important until they get to be more towards 13, 14 years old. But if they're 11, 10, 9, 8, they're still playing in community teams, just local community teams. And the main thing that we stress on that is I'm coaching a 9-year-old team when I'm back here in Iowa, but we just stress, hey, the number one thing is you got to love the game. If you love the game, then you're going to get better at it. So the school really doesn't come into effect until about 11, probably around 12 years old. Then they start playing on school teams. Before that, they play, a parent is a coach, and they just have a group of kids together from their community and practice and play. So, but the number one thing at that level is, do they love the game? And if they love the game, then they have a chance to be much better as they get older.
And they are playing always in concept, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. And that's why I go back to, passing and cutting type of things rather than run plays. We don't run any set plays at all. It's all 3-on-3, 4-on-4, pass, cut, move, filling, spacing, those kind of things, all concepts. Yeah. Good.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
And thank you, Marcelo, for your presence here today.
Thank you.
I think, is it the first time you're here? No, second?
Ask is the second.
Okay, so that's the first time I see your face, but I think you asked me to ask some questions the other day. Your phone had a problem with the microphone or something like that.
No, I was with Cristiano Cedra. Remember?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yes. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I will have one question coming all the way from India right now, and it's 7 a.m., 7:07 a.m. in India. Swapnil, are you there?
Yes, Coach, I'm there. Yes.
Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in from India.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you for the lovely motivation things, a lot of things that I've learned today. So my question is about spacing with small younger kids. Like, it's very difficult to deal with them when they're on field. They most of the time run behind the ball altogether.
Yeah.
So how do we improvise that and make some drills to help the spacing in the younger kids on the introductory and fundamental level?
It's a great question. We use a lot of those floor spots, or we'll tape an X's down the court. So we say, all right, you're going to have to fill one of those X's. So when you make a pass and cut, you have to fill an X, and then you go out and have to find an X to be on. So they get the idea of here's how far I should be from another person. They don't get that until they see it on the floor. So we'll put tape X's on the floor. We'll throw spots on the floor. And then the next day we might put those X's in different spots. And your rule is once you pass, you're going to cut to the basket, make a basket cut. And then if you make a basket cut, that leaves the space filled. So the space beside the ball always has to be filled by somebody. So if I pass the ball from the top, I cut, somebody's got to fill that space at the top. So they get an understanding of spacing and cutting and filling out areas. But that's a great thing. It's hard to teach with young players too. So when they're 7, 8, 9 years old, that's the only thing we do is we really teach that part of it for offense. That's their offense. 3-on-0, or we might put 5 spots or 6 spots out there. They can fill any one of those spots, but they always have to have a spot filled next to the ball. So,
right. Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Swapnil, thank you for being here. Swapnil and I worked together in 2 different companies in India, and he's one of the good friends that I've made in that beautiful country. Swapnil, see you soon.
See you soon, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
We have another previous speaker asking you a question now. His name is Leo as well, Leo Costa. We say Leo in Portuguese. So
Okay.
Leo Costa is a coach in the national competition here, the National League, for one of the teams called Minas Tennis. That's Leo right now.
Okay. Glad to meet you, Leo.
Glad to meet you, Coach. I appreciate your time for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to.
It was very good to see your presentation. Congratulations on that. My question is about one of the strengths you guys look in your players. You said like tough and like resilience or something like that, like how they react under frustration.
Yeah.
Question is those skills, those mental skills that are so important for a player, how they deal under stress and at the end of ball games, how they react on clutch times of games. So all those skills are skills that you guys develop, or you just take the best players that have that, you think that they go to the national teams because they have that, or is something that you demand and actually work and develop on the players as much as the basketball skills?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's both, because when we have games like when we play like cutthroat, 4-on-4 cutthroat, that's a 4-on-4 game that teaches resiliency. It teaches toughness. It teaches all those things we want taught without really saying so. In other words, we can see how tough a kid is, or resilient, or flexible a player is by playing 4-on-4. So a lot of things we do, a lot of our competitive games that we do enhance those type of things. So it makes them resilient. It allows them to be great teammates. It allows them to be tough, smart. If a player always takes bad shots, his team never scores on that cutthroat, they're not going to do very well. And so we always keep track of wins and losses for not only teams but individuals on teams. So when we're done with that drill, we'll have a list of names, and we'll mark a win for every team, for every person that's won, a loss for every team that's lost, or for every person that's lost. So at the end of the week, we can see, all right, this player, man, he's got 6 wins this week. What's he doing well? Or this player who we think is pretty good has 4 losses. So we take a look at that. So and we tell the players, and we show the players that as well. So I think a little of both. They have it when they come in, but we try and develop that in practice situations with not only our competitive drills, but also with our skill development.
All right, great, Coach. Thank you. I appreciate.
You bet.
Leo, thank you for your presence again. See you soon. I have one last question, Coach. One of our attendees texted the question here. He's asking, how old is too late to start a career as an athlete? If you believe that.
As an athlete?
As an athlete, as a professional athlete, how old is it's too late to start playing basketball, or I think in any sports competitive?
Yeah, I mean, I think it goes back to what's your skill set, and then how you factor in with other players that you're going to compete against. As we all age and get a little older, obviously our skill sets aren't quite as good because physically we're not as good. We don't jump as high, we don't run as fast anymore either. But
yeah,
I mean, I played. I didn't play on teams, but I played. I still play. Go out and play half court, 3-on-3 at the gym with other guys and stuff. So I still enjoy playing. I just can't play, competitive anymore.
I feel the same. I think if I could with the knowledge of the game I have right now, come back to 1998, yeah. I'm sure that Vitor would accept me on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
In that year.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Okay. Coach, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
We've been talking for a long, long time. I will leave this last few minutes for you to say your last words to our attendees, and I'm sure that we'll meet again.
Yes.
Some people are asking about the USA Basketball Coach Academy. I know that COVID-19 changed a lot of your schedules for this year, but how can they have access to it and register for the next clinics?
Yeah. If you have questions, Leo has my email address. So Leo, you can give it out to anybody who asks for it. But I can send out the information I had today to any of you. And if you have questions, you can email me too as well. So Leo will give you my email address. But I really appreciate the fact that we have everybody on, and I hope I gave you something to at least think about in your basketball coaching and improve your game. Because like I said, we're all life learners, and we're all going to learn about this great game of basketball. It draws everybody together. There's kind of a neat thing with basketball coaches is that I always say it doesn't take very long for basketball coaches who are together to know to know another basketball coach. And I know I have a lot of you Argentinians and Brazilians that I've worked with from the basketball standpoint that I consider really good friends. So I really appreciate that as well. So thanks for being on.
Coach, I love you. Thank you for your time today. We have one person asking you about Brazilian steak. What is your evaluation of that?
Brazilian and Argentine steak are the best. Every time I've been there, I've had great Brazilian steakhouses are unbelievable.
But I'll have to put you on the spot that Brazilian or Argentine?
They're different. They're both good. They're both good. I love the Brazilians. I love the Brazilian steakhouses where they come at your table and carve off. That's I can eat there every time. Yeah.
Coach, thank you very much. We'll be in touch, and I will ask people that want to receive their material.
Yep.
I will remind you tomorrow to share that with me.
Yep, for sure.
Good night. And for everybody, thank you very much for being here. Amigos do Brasil, de Portugal, obrigado por participarem. My friends in the US and India, thank you very much for participating today. We have another very good clinic on Friday that will be in Portuguese. O Lula Ferreira vai estar com a gente, ex-técnico da seleção brasileira. Boa noite para todo mundo e até a próxima. Coach, bye-bye.
Thanks, Leo.